Look at this. Look at all these devices pointed at me.
So Bruce, you're basically
No Tron, there would have been none of these.
you're basically kind of like Obi-Wan of the Tron saga.
Yes.
So now, what's it like to take from Tron Legacy, now exploring your counted character of Tron and Rinsler now in this
Yes, and we haven't come to Rinsler yet. So
Yeah.
what's that going to be?
On the cusp. That's interesting how
here
it's-
we are. We're just before that.
Right.
But yet he's been through the fight already. As
Absolutely.
Clue beat we even recapped that slightly in that episode. So it'll be interesting. We'll put that off for a couple seasons though. How about that? We've got a lot of stories to tell, and we've done this about a year now. I think we've been working on this thing. No, what's it like? It's just that's the common question here for me. It's certainly exciting having for this show Elijah. I think it's a nice mix, the two of us, because that's mainly who I work with now in this initial part. But certainly Lance, an old friend, and everybody. It's so great to like a new cast. I'm kind of still there, but this whole new cast has come in, and it's kind of great to have these new energies and these new people in there. It's certainly different doing the animated series because you don't have your whole mechanism here to create the character. You got to bring it to a voice, and I've been saying this all day, trying to find Tron's voice. That was the journey that I, with Charlie Bean, our director, had to do. And as unrelenting as you will see that Tron is with Beck, Charlie was with me. So I was Beck, and he was Tron as the director. I mean, he was a harsh taskmaster, and trying to find it. He had to hear it. He had to, I had to give him a lot, and he would keep pushing me, get me angrier and angrier to get that really ravaged voice. Not so much seen in this beginning, but you will see as we go on, because it's not an easy relationship, Beck and Tron. And yet it's like the sensei and the young warrior, or Obi-Wan, certainly. I'm not as nice as Obi-Wan, though. I literally kick his butt a lot.
Nice.
We get into it, and he fights me every every bit of the way, and then I do some lessons on him.
Did you and Elijah get to work together? Because with animation, usually you're always by yourself. But
no, we never. We did the initial, but we had a wonderful guy, Aaron Brown, who really caught that I did do all my scenes with for the most part. He caught Elijah, even the timbre of his voice. He caught him so wonderfully, and he's a voice actor. But no, I think the first time we did was with when we had all the powers that be at Disney, on the other side of the glass in the room there, watching and listening. And we had Edward and Adam's scripts, and we were trying them out for them. And once again, like I said in the last room, in Tron Legacy, I felt very much that I was hired to do the screen tests with all the young prospective hopefuls to play Sam and Cora. And this was well before we actually shot the movie. It was like November before the April that we actually started shooting. And I remember at that time thinking, this is, they hired me to do this. I got the role of Alan Bradley. But they hired me, and I thought, I haven't done anything for Disney in years. What if I suck? And this is kind of like my screen test too. And they saw me 50 takes, 50 times. I mean, Joe would just go, okay, let's do the scene again. And it was that scene of Sam and Alan. I knew that scene in my sleep 50 times over by the time we actually got to shoot it for the final film. And it was actually a different scene by then anyway. But, so here we are now at Tron Uprising. And I come in and they go, they went to me and they said, we'd love you to play the voice role. But I'm thinking in the back of my mind, oh my God, it's all over here. Here we are again. They're going, Elijah Wood, we're not sure. He's got a very certain timbre to his voice. We want to see how that sounds. I'm hearing, and I'm going, what do you mean? It's like, are we going to be doing a lot of different people, or what? No, we're really wanting Elijah, but we got to see how you two sound together. It's a whole different thing than how we look together. Suddenly it's like more focused down to this thing, and so once again, here I am auditioning for the voice of Tron now, in a way. I had that same, well, maybe it's just insecurities anyway. But, and there's that whole room full of faces. I didn't remember one of them. And Justin and, the guys that were on Legacy, but, so it was kind of interesting. And I think it worked out great. But yeah, he was down, I think, doing The Hobbit for a lot of this. I mean, we did all this last year. And he would come back and do stuff over again. We'd tweak this. They'd do some rewriting when they were doing the animation. I never really got to see much of the animation. So maybe a scene here and there. Or if they had something cut together like one of the chases scenes or something, just to get an idea. And I love how they've kept true to the Legacy world and then added some more aspects. Argon City. Different character looks, certainly the different vehicles. Even the uniform is not quite this. The outfit is not the same. I do like the fact that I have a chin as big as Mount Rushmore. All of Mount Rushmore right there. And I mean, that is a square-jawed guy, and I have no ass at all. So that's bizarre. I'm a long-legged guy. But I do like that. I at first looked at it and went, wow, okay. Is that how they imagine me? I don't know. And then I kind of like it. It has a certain stylization that's cool. I think there's a little anime influence there. I think the what's her name's character who plays the sort of bad girl who works for Tesla, Paige. She kind of has that anime look, which my youngest son would know more about than me. But I have seen them at conventions and stuff. That's a whole world I don't understand, but that's okay.
Bruce, I want to ask you.
Yes, sir.
Is it more surprising to you that there has been a second and third life for Tron, or that it took this long to get the second and third lives?
I think a little of both. Because I gave up on it a long time ago. There was always rumors. I know Stephen can probably answer that better, Lisberger, that there was a time, not long after initially, but we weren't into that sequel stuff yet. It was Die Hard and those things that kind of kick-started that. Certainly Star Wars, but that was always meant to be a trilogy. We always knew that was happening. So yeah, they're surprised that there was going to be anything. But then I did some of the video games. I latched onto this character of Tron, and I wasn't going to let go, and I wasn't going to let anybody else do it. Because that, I created it. Certainly we all did, but I embodied him at first. So, I said no. I liked it. I still think it's one of the most unusual things I've ever been associated with. And it just kept on living. And then when I got that phone call, after the footage had been shown at Comic-Con that went viral, just went nuts, and I got the call from Sean Bailey and Joe Kosinski personally to ask me would I want to be in the new movie. I thought, no. Take your sequel and you know what. No, of course not. But I was very touched that they would call personally instead of like an agent calling or an email as your client available. This was a very personal touch. And then also, we would love you to work with the young actors in screen testing them. And my choice is one, by the way. I saw Garrett immediately, worked with him, and I worked with several other guys. And we did all the same thing, but I felt this kid had the physical presence. He could be Jeff's son very, very easily, and he just had the right kind of work, and then work ethic in the scene. And also then, I've always been a fan of Olivia's since I can remember when she was just starting, and you get those eyes, would just wow. Catch you. And then seeing those two together, I knew we had the right combination. So it was good. But I think in this one, I know Lance Hendrickson. Now Lance, I've always said Lance Hendrickson, the voice from the graveyard, the original Alien in Alien, all that sort of thing. And Lance is terrific. And we're the two older guys in this thing. Reginald Bell Johnson, too, who plays the garage, his boss in the garage. What's his name? Abel. Thank you. So finally you get to throw one in. You've got Abel. We're like the three guys, but the two protagonists, we've got Tron against Tesla. And my voice has to be different, because we both have these gruff, deep voices. And I would sit there and listen to Lance. I would occasionally get in a little early while he was doing his, just to make sure I wasn't sounding like him. You know?
Bruce,
Because nobody can sound like him. You know?
you're bringing a whole new audience to Tron, obviously with Disney XD.
Yeah.
How would you briefly just describe who he is to people who aren't aware?
Well, I'd say he's a mythic. He's a mythic warrior hero of the video game world, and he's like the protector of the game grid, the grid. And back even in 1980, I likened him to Spartacus, you know, who led the rebellion of the gladiators and broke out of the slaves. And that's basically what we were to the master control program. So I was trying to find some other way of relating to him. But that kind of sort of mythic hero that, he's now grown more beaten up and battle worn in this one. Not the young spry guy that he used to be, like the actor portraying him, which is my birthday today, you know.
Happy birthday!
Yes,
We should all-
We'll sing later.
Yes, he's saying that we've got cake and candles out there later tonight. Anyway, but at 62, I have a very different version of Tron now, which more seasoned, you know.
Is there a favorite moment that you have of the new show that really sticks out in your mind?
Well, you know, only thing I've seen is the first thing I think that you all saw. I don't know, but did you see something?
Yeah.
Was it a full
Yeah.
episode?
30 minutes, next beginning.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I can only speak from that because I did these scripts a few months back, and we've done them over and over in different ways and things, so I've kind of forgotten some. I think there's some nice surprises coming. I actually get rougher with him as we go, and he starts rebelling against me more, and there's a real sort of tough love Tron here. It gets pretty brutal with him. I mean, I kick him around, and he takes me on, and I just keep pushing him and pushing him and pushing him. And then him also, and then trying gently to draw out his insecurities. But I think it was that initial moment, how cinematic this thing is, too, by the way it's shot. Some of the angles and how the storyline from him falling in the beginning, and you don't know where that. I love all the way it was shot. When he reveals himself finally, and then you see these scars. It wasn't like in saying it, I didn't see it only till recently, not much before all of you. So I only got this the other day to see it, and I had no idea what to envision and what did he look like, that he was disfigured by Clue, and so I guess that was like the only kind of surprise or something that I had. I've so forgotten the other stuff. I will be totally surprised. I'll be watching this series with new eyes going, wow, is I in that? I guess it was.
Well, it has a very epic feeling to it. It has like almost like a feature quality to it.
Oh, I do.
It doesn't feel at all
agree
like
with
an animated series. It actually feels like a
It doesn't feel like a
quality
cartoon.
feature. Yeah,
I think,
absolutely. So, what are you most pleased about? I know you said you're kind of reflecting about some elements about it, but from what you've had and experience on it, what are you most
well, that
happy
it's
with?
that it's pleasantly. You can sit there and go, oh my God, I hope this turns out all right. I have so little. I have the least to do with it. Those poor guys that Charlie and Aaron and Mike, all these guys that are in the booth, that I would just show up once every few weeks or whatever it was, then come back again. These guys have been sitting there with this, making this baby, and I only did my little part of it, and I'd leave. So I think the absolute joy that it turned out better than I expected. I thought it was going to be a cheesy cartoon. Remember the Beatles? Yellow Submarine in a way. We all grew up with cartoons. This to me is not a cartoon. It's an animated feature. It's like, for lack of another term, it's an animated series, and it's a very logical, I think, extension or aspect of this whole Tron mythology. After all, it's based on the whole thing about Tron was in the beginning this CG animation and live action in the 1980s, not really done in features yet. It was a brave new world for us. We didn't know how it was going to really turn out. And I always had this little story that in 1982 we were exempted from the Oscars in the animation department. Why? because they said that Disney had cheated. We used a computer.